Can a work feel angry even if the composer didn't intend it to? Ralph Vaughan Williams, note the funky pronunciation of Ralph. Rafe Vaughan Williams was one of the foremost British composers of the 20th century, and probably he was the most prolific and celebrated writer of symphonies. And while his first 3 symphonies all followed distinct extra musical programs, so 1 was about the sea, 2 was about the city, about London, and 3 was about the countryside, Vaughan Williams' 4th symphony was much more abstract. The opening 30 seconds or so, and quite a lot of the rest of the symphony seem, on even the most cursory of hearings, to be imbued with a white-hot, righteous rage. Indeed, the piece was written in the early to mid-1930s, and it was in the lead-up to the cataclysm that became the Second World War. Now, many commentators have attributed the symphony to the composer angrily foreseeing, presciently foreseeing, the cloud of fascism that was gathering over Europe. But Vaughan Williams is on the record as insisting that this 4th symphony should be viewed on purely musical terms. There is a case for this. In terms of its musical building blocks, it does hark back to Beethoven. Instead of a more conventional melody that might start off a theme, we hear this desperate cry in the orchestra of just 2 notes. It's a falling half step. And then another related 4-note cell. I want to call it a cell rather than theme because 2 or even 3 or 4 notes don't really constitute a melody. Mary had a... Yeah, not a melody. As an interesting aside, the lot of 4 notes that we hear at the beginning of this first movement are D flat, C, E flat, and D natural. It's the thematic cell, and it really falls in the cracks between whole steps and half steps. And what's more, if we keep this same distance between these 4 notes and then transpose them, so instead of starting on a D flat, we start on a B flat, we get the notes B flat, A, C, B. And if you take those 4 transposed notes, those 4 notes, B flat, A, C, B, and you say them in the way the Germans say them, we get the letters B, A, C, H. Bach. It's a pretty nifty little musical code that alludes to the fact that later on in the symphony, Vaughan Williams treats us to an epic fugue that the great German master J.S. Bach would have been proud of. But still, anger? Can a symphony that rests so much on its abstract musical structure convey an emotion like anger that rests outside of these purely musical terms? Well, a hint might actually lie in Vaughan Williams' own self-proclaimed hot temper. His friends also attest to the fact that he was prone to these outbursts of anger. We can hear that in the admittedly impeccably composed opening minutes of this symphony. But like anger in real life, and after a shattering climax, the anger just peters out into a sort of impotent calm by the end of the first movement, by its coda.